Welcome to Week 7 of the Premier Ultimate League 2024, and tonight we have a game for you. We have New York Gridlock versus Philadelphia Surge. My name is Chewy, and here with me is Keith.
Chewy, I am thrilled to be here because this is one of the most anticipated matchups of this Premier Ultimate League season. A big matchup in the North between two teams that have a little bit of history together, with New York facing off with Philly. Should be a great one.
Super psyched for that. And we are thankful to our sponsors. This live broadcast of Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab shops. The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports.
We'll take a look at where these two teams are in the Premier Ultimate League standings. And in the North Division, they top the tables, a pair of undefeateds going up against one another here, Chewy, in Philly and New York. Pretty impressive numbers on the boards, especially for that Philly team.
Yeah, look at those scores. Points for 59. Philadelphia Surge have scored 59 points in 3 games, and Gridlock have scored 55. These are really, really tough teams, and they're going to have a tight matchup today.
Philly has given up fewer points in 3 games than Minnesota has given up in 2 games, and they're in 3rd place in the division. Philly has been on a tear this year, but neither of these teams has faced a team quite with the acumen and performance thus far that they will see tonight. This will be a different type of test for each of these organizations.
Something else that's really interesting is that many of the Surge players, they got their start on New York Gridlock. So there's a lot of history between the two teams, and playing for New York Gridlock, we've had McKenna, Hirnet. Oh, here we go.
But not just is there a lot of crossover between the teams' rosters, but last season, the way that these two teams ended their year was very different, and it came down to the committee selection, the playoff committee choosing New York over a Philly team that had beaten them in the regular season. The Gridlock had a worse record than Philly, but when they played against Philly, New York was shorthanded. That was considered to be a key factor, and perhaps the Gridlock backed up the committee's decision by advancing all the way to the championship final, where they lost a very close game to Raleigh. New York is a team that's been in the postseason a number of years. Philly, in their first season, got held out, and a lot of people, including the Philadelphia team themselves, felt pretty rough about it. It will certainly be a focal point for them.
Our observers for tonight's game are Moy Lee and Sam Shapiro, and they're joined by the captains of the two teams here. We have Jenny DeJesus, Gina Cartagena, Nina Finley from Gridlock. Captains discussing now as they prepare for this game. And as you mentioned, a lot of familiarity across these rosters. Some of these players, including some of these captains, have played together on other teams or on the Gridlock. Yeah, the Gridlock captains, they've been on the team for a really long time. Jenny DeJesus and Nikki Hare. Oh, Nikki's not a captain. Jenny DeJesus has been on the team for all 6 years. We have Gina Cartagena, who's been on the team for 2 years now. And Nina Finley has been on the team for 3 years.
Yeah, and for a team that's had so much roster change, almost nobody else on this team really has played with the team before. They brought in a really new roster this year. They have a new coaching staff. And so there's been a lot of changeover. And it's clear that Jenny DeJesus' leadership is an important part of containing this organization, of not only building that bridge to previous New York Gridlock teams, but also just providing the leadership for cohesiveness for a team that doesn't practice together that much. And that's in stark contrast to what we see from Philly. I mean, there are basically 2 club teams across this entire Philadelphia roster. They have basically their whole core from last year. There is a lot of chemistry and familiarity on the Philly roster and a lot of continuity that is not necessarily present on New York's side.
Yeah, but we've seen in previous games this season that Gridlock's core handler set is working together really well, and I think that's contributing to their success so far.
Yeah, while the entirety of the roster may not have a lot of chemistry, there are pockets of players who've played quite a bit together, playing in the club mixed division with New York Exist, or playing in the women's division with New York Bent, or, of course, playing Team Columbia, as a number of the Colombian players have. So we see the starting lineups for both sides. Chewy, which names jump out to you?
Raha Mosafari, of course. I've been a big fan for many, many years, and Raha is a strong, strong player. Any team that can call her a team player will do really well.
Yeah, Mosafari is a seasoned vet. Will bring a lot of leadership to this team on top of the talent that she brings. When I look on that Gridlock side, Jolie Krebs has really had a standout season, really high-flying player, brings a ton of explosiveness and athleticism to that New York line. We'll see how she can complement the strengths of her teammates. Expect to see a lot of Nina Finley and Gina Cartagena as we get started in this one. Gridlock getting set to pull. They'll start on offense with the surge in white on defense.
And they're off. A pull from Surge. Pretty big pull. Let's see what they can do with it. Nina Finley picks up the disc. Jolie Krebs on that in cut right away. Looking for a dump back. Jenny DeJesus is there.
Spoke to the Philly coaches before this game, and they talked about their handler pressure being really the focal point of their defense. And right now they're trying to stifle the handler movement of New York.
Yeah, you can see the cutters looking back for resets quite often. Not a lot of flow happening. Here's Jolie again, Jolie Krebs. Finds Gina Cartagena. That was Gina Cartagena to Jolene Zhang.
Not an easy offensive point for New York, but they are able to manage to get up that open side and work it amongst the handlers for short gains until Zhang's able to spring free in the end zone. Gets a Gridlock an opening hold without any turnovers, but I think these teams already, it looks like they're a bit in the feeling out stage. Get a sense of what the other team's going to throw at you, how they're going to match up, and try and respond the next time their offense gets out there. We'll get our look at New York's defense and at the Surge's O-line this next point. Manuela Cardenas getting set to pull for New York. She and Valeria split up on the lines to start today. Surge on the attack. Go past midfield pretty quickly. Beautiful touch on the score. Sarah Harrinet comes down with the goal. Nat Bova with the assist. And Philly's on the board right away, and that was a very nice possession.
Very quick point. Very calm, very collected. Both teams look very focused today.
Yeah, but I talked with one of the assistant coaches for Gridlock, Brittany Taylor, she talked about, wanting to try and take away Nat Bova specifically being able to get up the line. That was a big part of this Surge offense from what they had seen on the film. And there, the assignment was missed because Bova's able to streak up the line, get in a power position, and make that downfield throw, that continued throw, even easier. So we'll see if New York can continue to make that adjustment. I think one of the challenges for this Gridlock team is that they really don't get that many reps together. They have all these travel players, people who don't have as much background with each other, and it's hard for them to get a chance to build up some of the systems in the same way that some of these other teams might. But they have a lot of experienced players they trust to make those adjustments. So I think this is a team that you can expect to be stronger over the course of each game.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing in New York. You get a lot of people who come for a year or two and then move on to other regions, other teams. And how do you build that chemistry in that short period of time? Jenny de Jesus with the disc. Oh, wide reset saved by Valeria Cardenas. Ooh. Drops disc. Let's see if Gridlock can get it back on D.
Surge lining up in a vert stack.
Oh, well, big block.
Big block. And that's what we're talking about, that explosiveness from Jolie Krebs. Krebs, a college player with SUNY Binghamton. They'll be at national soon.
Gina Cartagena with the disc. Little dishy to Jolie Krebs.
That's a nice flashy bookends to put on your highlight reel. Big block from Krebs, although if you're familiar with her game, that's pretty regular for her. She's no stranger to taking off and making a play in the air and then finishes the possession on the other end.
Yep. Jolie Krebs is up for the Callahan Award this year, and some of her teammates will be here during halftime to give you guys a little look.
Take a look at what the Binghamton Big Bear star is up to. I mean, she's guided her team to 4 straight Nationals appearances for a program I think most people hadn't even heard of 5 years ago. And as you mentioned, a Callahan nominee, we haven't had the finalists announced yet, but it's possible she'll be on that list of the top 5 and have a chance at actually winning the award given her college season and career thus far.
So here are the Callahan nominees in the league. Jolie Krebs representing Gridlock, Fiona Cashin, Atlanta Soul, Graham Cunningham, Columbus Pride.
Cashin and Krebs both set to play at the Division I College Championships next weekend. Grace Maroon on the Philly Surge team also slated to play. So we've got a few Nationals attendees in the college arena on the field here. I think a pick on the mark.
But it's safe. I think, okay.
Yeah, if there's a foul, then it's before the throw in.
Come here.
Dre Sabato on Surge with the disc. Gets it down the line with really quick. Oh, a little bit of traffic there. Back to Dre Sabato.
Surge confident working the unders right now, but New York said that they want to take Philly out of their deep game, and so far they have, but hasn't quite stopped Philly from marching towards the end zone.
Emily Shields with the disc. A lefty backhand. Rachel Alfano brings it down.
Alfano, a great goal scorer, and their heads-up play, and Shields, the veteran showing off some of the smarts. I know it can look like a lucky play to just loft a high stall throw over, but recognizes that by throwing to the far side of the field, it's going to be more advantageous for her teammates than it will be for the defense. And kind of gets out of a tough situation. But nice presence of mind. If you don't know what to do, you just float it out to the break side and hope something good happens.
Yes, high release backhand is my favorite throw.
If I could throw them like Emily Shields, it'd probably be my favorite throw too. Now, we mentioned some of the players who are competing at the Division I College Championships next weekend. There's also a coach on Surge, and that's Linda Morse with the disc getting ready to pull. She is a coach of Division III Haverford and Bryn Mawr, who is competing this weekend. Right now, the Division III College Championships are going on there. They finished up play for today, but they're going in tomorrow. I believe Haverford is in the pre-quarterfinals. So I think after this game, Linda Morse is headed to D3 to help coach her team and see if she can get them further into the bracket.
Valeria Cardenas and Jenny DeJesus working that disc.
And if you're Philly's defense, that's what you don't want to see. You don't want to see that momentum attack where they're hitting the give and go frequently. It's so hard to cover players of this caliber who are so good at that type of attack when you see Jenny DeJesus paired up with the Colombian stars of this Gridlock team.
Gina Cartagena to Jolie Krebs again. Love that connection.
Back-to-back scores for Krebs and gives up some size in that matchup against Lindsay McKenna, but has the athleticism to make that play past the longer defender. We'll see how that matchup continues to play out because I think McKenna is considered one of the top defenders on the Surge team. They're sending her out there because they know Krebs is a threat, but so far, Krebs getting the better of the matchup with 2 goals. (3-2) Gridlock lead. All holds. I think only a single turnover thus far, Chewy. So far, is it what you expected from these two teams?
Yeah, I think they're still figuring out what are the matchups they want in this game, and I think we'll see some really intense D coming up. Like I think they're going to ramp it up.
Excellent cut from Nat Bova to gain a lot of yards and pierce midfield for Philly. Interested to see her initiating from downfield.
A little missed connection there on Surge, and Gridlock have a chance at a break here.
DeSabato just overshooting Liz Hart. This will be Gridlock's first break chance.
Cassie Brown with the disc. Manuela Cardenas. Crossfield flick to Pressburg. Finds Nikki Hare. It's a nice pickup by number 19, Estelle Ding. Estelle Ding is a college player as well on Gridlock. Nice and easy. That's a break for Gridlock.
I don't know if it was easy or if Manu just makes it look that way because she had 2 fantastic throws throughout that point and just absolutely tearing up the Philly defense with those looks. First the crossfield forehand and then the inside-out forehand out to space. Those follow up that misconnection by DeSabato.
Estelle Ding with that layout grab. Estelle plays for Columbia University women's team.
Only 19 dings, so a lot of years left to make her presence felt in the Metro East. And nobody's defensive presence felt on that score.
But still, good read. Good read by Pressburg.
How will Philly respond to giving up the first break? We're talking with their coaching staff before this game. They said to me, we know New York's going to make plays. They're a good team. We know we're going to have to respond to that, and that's one of the things that we're focused on. How do we stay consistent even when New York makes some of those highlight reel moves that we know they can make? Speaking of current college players, Grace Maroon with the disc. Everything but the assist for Maroon.
Took them a second to get down there to help her out, but they stayed calm. They got that. Oh, I think that was a break side.
Hard to tell because the mark had kind of fallen off at that point.
Yeah, the mark and the defender in the stack.
Now, I'm not sure. Grace Maroon might also be 19, so we're seeing the 19-year-olds show out right now. Maroon, a rookie on UPenn, and has immediately become a college star after playing last year with Philadelphia Amp as a high school senior, which obviously is a good mark of talent.
So impressive. So impressive. I cannot imagine what that feels like. When I was playing in college, I was just happy to be there. So Surge held for that point. We'll see if Gridlock can hold their point.
Lots of room for that early gain for Zhang.
Nice inside throw from Jenny de Jesus. Gina Cartagena with the disc. Finds Valeria Cardenas. Nice bladey flick to Gina Cartagena. And Jolene Zhang gets that score.
Zhang doing a great job setting up the continuation to be there and in the exact right time to make it for easy scores. But how about that throw from Valeria up to Yina? And that you could see that they had set up that look. I mean, that is a throw that the throw itself, isn't the most difficult to execute in the entire world. But with the pressure in this situation,
it's precise.
Exactly. And they knew that they had that look. And there are very few pairs of players for whom that is a really big threat. That this throw, that you as a defender, you have to be ready for this. But when it's Yina and Valeria, you have to be ready for this.
Gina was on the other side of the field, and she crossed the field for that throw. And that is just knowing each other so well that you know where to go and at what time.
I mean, I don't think that they've quite been playing since the Cardenas were born, but it does sometimes feel like Yina was standing there when they popped out and just tossed them a disc. It was like, all right, here we go. Let's start.
Dre Zapato with the disc. Danielle Walsh there for that reset.
Gridlock in a junk look now, and it really seems to have slowed down the Surge, who are kind of taking their time to dissect where to attack, but a lot of poaches in the middle of the field right now.
They don't seem concerned about the handler resets, though.
But the confusion is enough to generate a turnover. Now New York gets to pile on as they've got confusion on the other side too. Big break for the Gridlock, and a fantastic call from the coaching staff to go to that zone right there. It clearly flummoxed Philly, and not only did they get the advantage of sowing some chaos when Philly had the disc, but then in transition, they got a short field and defensive confusion, and the errors right there made it into an easy score.
They also mixed up some of their O players and D players on that line. We had Jolie Krebs, we had Eli Pressberg, we had Jenny DeJesus, and Manuela Cardenas as well.
You see in that replay that Danielle Walsh pointed to herself for making that mistake, and I think the error that she's really referring to is making a clearing cut without her head up. Especially when you're near the disc, but really anywhere, if you make a cut, even if your intent is to clear, you have to be ready to get the disc because the thrower may see you as a target. If you clear and don't have your head up, the defense doesn't have to respect you, and you can end up in a situation where the disc is coming at you and you're not ready. And there, Walsh just not prepared to get that throw back from Marie. Another big pull for Manu to start off Gridlock's D, and you can tell they're feeling good right now with a 6-3 lead.
Danielle Walsh with the disc. Big huck. Blocked by Casey Bentarayan on Gridlock. Got that block.
Shape of that throw cannot be what Walsh wanted. Came out as a line drive, easy block, and I'm
too
not
low.
even sure the target was the right one.
Pick called on the field. Nice inside.
Gridlock has been a lot more effective at getting to the break side and attacking that weak point of the defense throughout this first quarter. Often with that throw, they're doing a great job setting up those soft inside forehand breaks. I think this is the first time we've seen the Philly offense earn the disc back after a turnover. So they'll get a second chance.
Nat Bova to Emily Shields in the end zone.
Another big-time play from Bova that isn't going to pop up on the highlight reel, but just able to break free at the right time on the break side and then get an easy continue throw that she skillfully puts in for an assist, her second of the game. Just a throw behind Manu, and then Walsh with a great fake to open up that break side throw, and then Bova gets an uncontested look into the end zone.
Both teams looking to use the break side this game. We'll see if their marks can hold those forces, stop those around. 2 minutes left in the first quarter.
And in contrast to the bevy of 19-year-olds and current college players, you've got Emily Shields, who's in her first year with the team, but a former AMP captain, played with the team back in 2015 through 2019, was a college star at Tufts at the 2011 through 2014. So not quite the youngster that some of her teammates are, but has shown how that experience can help her be successful on the field. And she can always bust out the tape and give some back in my day, because she can ball. Don't worry. College Shields can ball.
Wow, nice inside out backhand from Gina Cartagena to Jenny DeJesus.
Yeah,
Valeria.
For I would say that when you take like the core cohort of this New York team, that Jay DeJesus, Cardenas twins, and Gina Cartagena together, you've got these boisterous, swaggy players on the field, and Yina has this understated charisma. Like, that play is just delectable, but she just makes it look so casual. I got out of bed this morning, and I threw a beautiful, perfect OI forehand or backhand around the defense. That's just what she does.
As a handler, that's what you want. You want to look up and see your favorite receivers knowing exactly that you're going to throw to them and getting it.
Yeah, plus you want it to look like you're barely even trying. That's my goal as a handler. The maximum impact while it looks like I'm not doing anything.
Big pull from Gridlock.
Under 90 seconds left in the first.
Big backhand puck. Rachel Alfano pulls it down for Serge, making it 5 to Serge, 7 to Gridlock.
Nat Bova's been taken over in this first quarter, and before she'd been using her legs to set her up, and that was just all power. Winds up a backhand, throws it past the mark despite the fact that it was a forehand force. And there you see her initiating again downfield. Doesn't get a ton of separation, but I don't know how she got this backhand off past her mark. And it ended up being perfect for Alfano.
Yeah, fell right into their hands.
Nice holds from Serge, or not exactly what they need, though. When you're facing a 2-goal deficit, you got to go out there and get some breaks. Defense maybe trying to fire up after seeing the offense be successful. Morse with the pull. Long-time AMP star. And he's played on a couple U.S. national teams as well as a feared defender. Spread set from Gridlock here. Putting the cutters on the sideline to open up the middle. Stoppage as we're nearing the end of the first. Gridlock with another stoppage as we get under 20 seconds.
So in PUL, when the time runs out, they can play out their possession. So it doesn't stop at the 0-0 mark.
So it is to Gridlock's advantage to try and maintain possession through 0 seconds so that the Surge will not get the disc back in this quarter, which they've successfully done now. And as soon as the 0 strikes, so
they squeak in a score.
Well-managed end to the quarter for New York, and a very successful first quarter it was, Chewy.
Yeah, 3 points up, 2 breaks up. And they're getting serious out there. They're looking to use the break side. They're looking to huck it. They're looking to do short throws and really small, precise throws as well. Like, they're using all of their skills here. Okay.
New York up with an 8-5 advantage at the end of the first. We'll see if Philly has a comeback in them.
And welcome back. We're just about to start the second quarter of Surge versus Gridlock.
Gridlock with an impressive showing in the first quarter, up 8-5. So already they've scored more on Surge than Milwaukee did in their contest. And they're not that far off from how much the Reds scored on Surge, and they've already exceeded Torch. So they're getting close to basically the best performance anybody's had against Philly in just a single quarter.
This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to PremierUltimateLeague.com to donate today.
You know, this is not a sponsor or an ad, but I've been told so that the Manu and Valeria have launched a clothing brand.
I checked out the website. They have 2 T-shirts from what I know of. They have more. They might have more stuff in person today.
By Cardenas, I believe, is the name of the brand, and so I guess it's literal. It's like a command by Cardenas, and I want to check it out because they play with swag. So maybe it'll help me play well if I get some of that gear. I got Summer League coming up.
One of the shirts says "We are loved" on the back. The other one I don't remember. Here we go, Surge. Moving it quickly. Number 23, Nat Bova with the disc.
Bova, the brightest light of the first quarter for a Surge team that didn't quite play at the level I think they've set the pace for this season.
Right now, Danielle Walsh with the disc. Finds Emily Shields. Looking for Drade DeSabato. And that's a score for Surge. That was very nice and good movement by the handlers. A lot of touches from the handlers.
Yeah, a bit of a different pace of play from Philly. Going on the quick attack, moving the disc quickly. Got a little bogged down near the end zone, but managed to navigate that and sneak in the score. And one player who stood out to me on that possession is Liz Hart. Hart, a player who I think is probably known for her deep cutting and speed, but here able to get the disc moving with undercuts, and it sets up this type of offensive play. You can see a little more give-and-go attack as Walsh goes up the line, and then DeSabato follows. And that looks a little bit more like what you'd expect from the Gridlock offense.
Yeah. Scrappy, short throws.
And while I imagine that Surge are a bit surprised to be trailing in this game, I think they also knew this was a real step up in the level of competition that they faced. You know, no slight to Indy Red and Austin Torch, but most of those teams are at the bottom of the standings in the respective divisions that they're in, and they knew that facing an undefeated New York team in New York was going to be a different type of test. So how will they respond? They knew this was going to be part of the equation. Can we bounce back against this New York team? And they also knew that second halves have not necessarily been their strength so far this season. So what are they going to do as this game progresses on, as they get further in? Are they going to be a team that builds up? Or are they going to be a team that shrinks in the moment on the road?
Nina Finley with the disc. Looking for that upfield cut. A nice scooper. Nina saves it. Nina Finley saves it. Valeria Cardenas with the disc.
You can see Surge continues to keep flashing defenders into the lane on that when the disc is in the middle of the field, pulling players off the handlers in an attempt to try and stop the momentum.
Great grab under pressure by Jolene Zhang, and now Jolie Krebs is with the disc.
And they asked just one too many times for a teammate to bail them out of a less than perfect throw. And that time, Krebs has a backhand get away from him.
Lindsay McKenna with the disc.
And this is the first touch, I think, for McKenna so far. McKenna is playing left-handed right now with an injury to her right throwing hand. Maybe if you play with your offhand, that turnover counts for like left-handed McKenna. So on our stat sheet, we could split them up into lefty and righty McKenna. But I playing with your offhand is a real statement of skill.
That's a tough task. I had to do that for a couple months, like 10 years ago, when I had a minor fracture in my hand.
And how did you gear yourself up to just play offhanded?
I actually didn't play that much offhanded. I did develop my lefty backhand, and it was a little bit before it became so trendy that every righty was doing their lefty backhand. I had it like maybe 2 years early, but I didn't break it out into games that much afterwards anyway, but it was there.
Hey, being ahead of the curve, you get to claim that forever. They were just all copying you, Julie.
Yeah, I
You're
wish.
the trendsetter.
Yeah, lefty high release backhand to the break side. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I wonder if it's going to break the game. Like, are we going to get to the point where everybody can throw competently with both hands?
With both hands. How do you mark on them?
Yeah, what are we going to do? What's going to happen to defense?
Dre DeSabato with the disc. Finds Emily Shields around all the way to Rachel Alfano. Back to DeSabato. Now.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of big downfield spaces. Gridlock has transitioned into a bit of a junk set again. So they really have a bunch of defenders up the middle of the field, and that's forcing Philly to have to analyze rather than attack. And that could be what you want. I mean, sometimes you just want to make the other team think rather than act.
That was a nice grab by Grace Maroon. Sarah Hiernett with the disc.
Both teams making some really difficult catches on them over the course of this point.
Walsh with the disc. Finds Alfano. Alfano looking for somebody.
Chances is Jesus both marking and defending the reset at the same time as Gridlock tried to figure out their transition.
Ooh, nice grab under pressure by DeSabato.
She's not afraid of a little contact now.
Almost in the end zone. Not quite. Let's go, Serge. Let's see. Nice and calm. Sarah Hiernett with that score.
And the Selly to boot and earned it. I mean, that was a tough point for Philly, but a big one to come out and get that score. And Bova, again, able to drive the bus for them. I mean, just talismanic through this beginning of this game. Has been everywhere when her team has needed it the most. And after the timeout, it's a break. So, big score. There's that miscue from Krebs. Thought the upline cut was going to bail out, and instead it was the disc that bailed.
Nice grab under pressure. If Jolie Krebs is marking you, that is intense.
And then Walsh up to Bova, who just keeps finding a way to get to that break side. That sets up the assist.
Philly surge creeping up here, 7-8. Trying to close that gap.
And now it's Surge who are throwing out a junk. I guess they liked what they saw from New York. As you can see, Mosafari up the middle of the field. And I think one of the big advantages of throwing a zone is that you get to put your best defenders in a position where they're interacting with more throws. If you have your best defender on one given player, so we see a turnover, I'm not sure if it was out of bounds, I think, on the reception. You put your best defenders right where the action is, they're going to engage with almost every moment.
Yeah, they have more chances to make a big play. Or at least just put pressure on.
Big chance for Philly to turn this game around after going down 3. They could tie it up with a break score here.
Lindsay McKenna with the disc.
McKenna trying to think her way through. Now she even has to switch her pivot feet.
Raha
So you have to think
Mosafari.
about which one to put down.
Linda Morse with the disc. Gets it to Sarah Leung, who gets it to Kat Harper.
And Philly ties it up. So the second quarter, they're surging, you could say. Offhand backhand from Liang to set up the score. And Morse takes a little while to get an offhand backhand back of her own. And a nice grab from Sarah Liang to keep that possession from short-circuiting.
Then Sarah Liang finds Kat Harper in the end zone. Great point by Surge. That was also a break point for them.
So now it's New York's chance to respond. The ball's back in their court. You know, it's like volleys in a tennis match. And we take the scoring system from tennis, the break nomenclature, and you can see some of the tennis stylings of how that scoring system influences how the teams have to play against one another.
7 minutes left in this first half.
Two teams battling to be in first place in the North Division.
Valeria catches the pole to Gina Cartagena. Finds Krebs, finds Finley. Cardenas with the disc.
Great job from Philly to contain that moment and keep things from getting out of hand. Looked like Krebs was going to be able to pick up a lot of yards, but the defense worked together to slow it down.
Great vision from Cartagena. That flick to space.
I practically bid on that Valeria hammer fake. I thought for sure she was about to unleash one.
Valeria Cardenas with the disc. Finds Jenny De Jesus. Around backhand to Jolie Krebs. Inside flick to Valeria Cardenas. Gridlock answers back with a very smooth-looking, in-control offensive point.
And that's got to be the strongest red zone possession we've seen from either team in this game. Using some highly technical play, but also their athleticism. And that is what the Gridlock can put you in on defense. Put you in that situation where, hey, we're dangerous going up the line, we're dangerous in space, but we can also make the throws that are going to hurt you on the break side. And back-to-backs with the around backhand and then the inside break from Krebs for the assist.
Yeah, Gridlock really using the middle and open side of the field really well on this point.
There's that around from De Jesus and the finisher from Krebs.
Somebody's got a tuba out.
I love a little character. You know, you got the home crowd. You know, if that's going to be your signature move, I'm for it. Someone call up Hank Wobble. Let's get it going out here.
Deep pull from Gridlock. The Sabato gets it. Gets
Side
it to Walsh.
This time from Surge. And I think they were looking to get Nat Bova, and Valeria was able to take it away.
Walsh looking for DeSabato. Surge getting pushed back.
What's stalling?
And I'm not sure if they've all played together. I think they have because there's no way here Annette and Maroon played together. But every player on the field for Surge right now has played for Philadelphia Amp at some point. And that means that they all have a similar system. Amp's been coached by Patrick Sherlock since forever, since the dawn of man. There's a lot of chemistry and understanding that's shared among these 7 players and a number of other players on the Surge roster.
Yeah, you can't underrate that. That takes years of dedication and communication. Nat Bova looking to get it in the end zone for two teammates, but nobody could get there. A little bit Blady.
I think you give Bova the license to explore the studio space based on the way that she's played so far in this game. However, she finally found a throw too hard for even her to consistently hit it. That is a difficult look to hit. That fading,
Same
blading
third.
forward.
In the same third.
And given that they had not moved the disc particularly well on that possession, I wonder if Bova felt a little bit of pressure to make something happen. If you want to see how to throw a same third huck, Manu with a demonstration, perfectly weighted forehand up the line of Valeria.
Cassie Brown with the disc, looking at Manu. Cardenas. Cardenas with the disc. Looking for that reset. Gets it to Cassie Brown. Pressburg looks inside, gets it to Hanaglick.
Perfect throw from Pressburg, but the next one is not. Back into a defender, and now Walsh with a deep shot immediately.
Oh, a little fumble from number 9, Kieran.
Great read by Emily Shields to bring in the huck, but mistakes on both sides, and Kieran is clearly frustrated with herself after the mistake, and a timeout from Gridlock. Demanding point here, and a key one, as this margins have really tightened in this game after New York's early lead.
Here we have Bova with that flick huck to that corner. Landed out of bounds. We have that great flick to Valeria Cardenas. And that block. Walsh, 2 shields. Couldn't make it.
So some fresh legs after the timeout. Teams get a chance to catch their breath. And a new set now. Vertical stack with an isolation for Jolie Krebs.
Oh, a surge player and a Gridlock player bidding for that, but nobody could get it. Sarah Leong with the disc gets it to number 4, Mozafari. A little bit of contact on that catch. They seem all right, though.
Leong signaling she's okay before she even hit the ground.
I think her knee hit Valeria Cardenas' knee. Inside backhand. Sumi Onoi. Back to Sarah Leong. Resets to the middle to Omoe. Finds Raha Mozafari. Big flick. A little bit Blady. And Gridlock are looking to hook it. Not yet.
You know, prior to the game, the coaches from New York highlighted the surge deep game as being the one that they were trying to shut down. And New York has certainly been the better deep throwing team for basically the entire first half.
Yeah, a lot of connections. Another stoppage on the field. Jolene Zong with the disc.
Room for another deep shot.
Oh, nice hammer. Manuela Cardenas to Jolene Zong.
And there go those Cardenas sisters again. If you buy the gear, maybe you could do that too. I mean, what a hammer from Valeria. And they just have this ability to spot each other in really difficult angles. I mean, that is not necessarily space on the field that a thrower is looking to attack.
Yeah, and a hammer to someone who's running away from you, that is a really tough throw.
Here's the turnover. Lane Dodge able to get a hand on that disc. A nice defensive play.
Mozafari with that flick. And Nina Finley with the D. Cartagena faking that huck throw, the backhand.
Then after the stoppage, it's Vale.
Oh, moving back into place.
Vale with the big hammer. And that puts us in this 10-8 situation we see now.
The Sabato with the disc. Flicked down the middle to Hirnet. Alfano finds Shields. Shields finds Hart. Hart to Walsh. Alfano with the disc.
Misses Bova wide open up the line.
Walsh gets it to... Oh!
And that is the second drop we've seen from the Surge on just a wide open opportunity to complete a pass.
Yeah, unfortunate for Alfano. We've got 22 seconds left in the first half. Gridlock with the disc. Cassie Brown. Brown looking for some in-cuts. Manuela Cardenas gets it tight catch under pressure.
Great defense, better offense. Horn goes off at 0, so again, it'll be Gridlock ending the quarter with the disc. And it's like that horn just unlocked the gates of their offense because they are moving now.
They're serious. Cardenas looking for someone. Oh, good D. Some contact on that. Hirnet going to call that. Brown's going to call that. Hirnet and Brown are going to talk it out.
That's why I fell backwards, right? I don't think I fell backwards for me. For my feet, I think I fell backwards.
Here's that contact on that. Hirnet and Brown looking for that disc.
Yeah, Hirnet goes up early and makes contact with the disc, but it's tough for me to see how she was going to make that play without making contact with Brown on the follow-through.
Looked like...
Yes. So you're talking about contact and unable to have a
right,
play
exactly.
on the disc.
I believe that us going in the air, her coming into my vertical space, going up, caused me to get pushed backwards and foul the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I just went straight up because it was coming this way, so I had a better line. So I thought it was straight up. Anyway.
Okay. In my perspective, it was not a foul.
Okay.
So it was a turnover and the quarter's over. Yeah.
Players talking to the observer. It's resolved as not a foul, and now it is halftime.
Gridlock with a 10-8 lead and a chance to emerge as the lone undefeated in the North, and they can finish off this second half at home against a Surge team that has been a powerhouse here at the Premier Ultimate League.
Welcome back. This live broadcast is brought to you by Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to PremierUltimateLeague.com to donate today. Here's some highlights from the first half.
Yena Cartagena and Jenna De Jesus, I mean, they are just able to generate so much reliable attacking momentum. They're able to get up the line effectively. They're able to get to resets. But when they get the disc in power positions, they're able to either attack on the break side or get the deep throws up. And they've been really powering this offense for New York.
And they're always looking for each other, and I think that is part of the benefit of having played together for a while, and they know where they want to go.
10-8, Gridlock up. Surge trying to come up with some second half answers to remain undefeated.
Gridlock would like to thank Dr. Lucia Jimenez, Principal and Clinical Director of Elmhurst Physical Therapy and Balance Center, for their support. Elmhurst Balance and Physical Therapy Center is a full-service rehabilitation facility based in Queens, committed to their patients' well-being and recovery. They offer state-of-the-art equipment designed to facilitate early return to functional activities, a professional bilingual administrative staff, and expert licensed clinical therapists. Thank you, Dr. Jimenez.
It's good to have a crack medical staff around when you're throwing your bodies around like this in front of these fans. We're here at Joseph F. Facina Field in New Rochelle, and the fans have made their way on the trek outside the city to support the Gridlock in their big home game. This is their second home game of their season.
Second home game.
It's hard, I was talking to the Surge coaches about, this is the team's second year in the league, and they recognize that it's different from club and that every game is such a big deal. You have so few games on your schedule that you can't really afford a lull because the season's so compressed. They learned over the course of last year, their first year in the league, that they really have to come in with every game with a really focused game plan. And when you're traveling on the road and you go up against a home crowd that maybe has a big brass section, you got to be ready to compete.
Where's the drum line?
Oh my gosh! What if they had brought their own brass player? I want a brass off, you know.
Oh, I used to play trombone in high school. I could join in next time. Although we need some more trumpets. Yeah, we can't have all bass. All right, let's see what Gridlock and Surge have for us in the second half.
Yeah, I'm curious how the teams will take. I mean, this is their longest chance to really apply adjustments. So it's really the time when they're probably going to achieve the most if they want to make changes in their strategy. The coaches have had some time to digest the first half, and then they have a good amount of time to impart that to the players and actually try and execute on these changes they're making. I mean, you can see Philly coaches on the field now trying to direct traffic a little bit. That's something you can't do in the middle of the game usually.
Yeah, there's even timeouts are super short. The most you can do is talk about the next play, and maybe insert some new subs.
But perhaps emblematic of some of the differences between these two programs, around the other side, Jenny De Jesus is doing most of the talking for New York. Their team feels a bit player-led. Maybe by necessity. Maybe when you have all these players from different parts of the country, you need some of them to step up into leadership roles. But they also just have the vets that they trust to kind of guide the ship. And I think the coaches, I wouldn't say their approach is hands-off, but they make use of the resource that they have in real leaders on the line. And De Jesus is certainly a big vocal leader on this squad team.
And we're off. Surge pulling to Gridlock. Cartagena with the disc. Around to Jolie Krebs. Fakes that flick huck. Looks for a reset. And finds Cardenas. Who gives it right back to Krebs. Krebs is handling, apparently. Which is really nice to see them shake it up. Cartagena with the disc. Finds Zhang. A little dishy to Montana Roberts.
Zhang continuing to be a steady presence in the red zone for Gridlock, but this time not in the end zone, so gets to add an assist to her tally. And an unblemished hold for New York, marshaled mostly by Jolie Krebs, who you mentioned usually we've seen downfield, but this is a player who gets, 80% of the assists for her college team that she plays with every year, so certainly is going to be comfortable around the disc. And I think that's one of the things New York sees as a strength of their team.
Yeah.
Is we have these players who are great athletes who also are going to be effective near the disc.
And it forces Surge to make adjustments to see Cartagena in the downfield area, seeing Krebs in the backfield. As a defender, you think somebody's going to be in the back, but they're not, and you've got to readjust. Manuela Cardenas with the pull. Walsh with the disc. Gets it to Bova. Bova gets it downfield.
Bova, again, just with so much room on those initiating runs.
Shields. Ooh, ow! Great grab by Emily Shields. She had to run that one down. It seems like there's a discussion about whether it's inbounds in the end zone.
Confusing because she both put the disc down and ran
As
to
in,
the front
it
of
was
the wall.
on the back.
I didn't. I said inbounds, and I turned here to see what she signaled. I just waited.
Saw your hands up.
I went like this. I came here to see if there to see where her call goes. If I don't do this, it's nothing.
Yes, I did. I did do that.
Sure.
Yes, which is why
Injury.
I'm saying it's not a turnover. Because I can understand the confusion. I'm just saying I made the call too quick. And it was not in. So can we bring the disc back here?
Cool.
And it's not a turnover because I understand the confusion.
Okay.
Yes.
We're saying there was a catch. It was outside of the end zone. The disc will be in here on 1. Sorry, you're going to take it from where you were.
The excitement
Before you do it, before you tap it in, we're going to handle this injury. So we have injury with a sub. Yep. Does Philly want a sub? Okay.
So the observers there made a call, which now they are taking back. They had called it a score, but now they're saying that it was not in the end zone.
You can now walk in.
Shields is going to get the disc and walk it to the front line of the end zone and tap it in. Looking for a reset here. Oh, the Sabado almost had it.
Bit of a passive moment for the Sabado on the reception there. Not usually a word you associate with it.
Nice flick huck from Valeria Cardenas to her sister on the end zone line. Gets it back to Kylie Sterling.
I mean, I think that it's a kind of a dumb trope to lean on, the psychic connection between the sisters or whatever. But, I mean, they'll make you believe in mysticism with what they do sometimes.
Brown gets it to Manuela Cardenas in the end zone. I think there is something to it, though. You're around a person for so long that you kind of know every little motion that they make, or you know every tiny emotion on their face. And that says a lot. It can convey a lot of information.
And it's not only that they're sisters. I mean, they've also played together for their entire careers. So their on-field reps together are through the roof. And they've played at basically every level you can imagine, from the brightest stages of the world to smaller games. And so those reps have really honed in their sense of where each other will be and where they're looking. And Cassie Brown, I will say, does a good job masquerading as a third Cardenas sister, even sometimes when they're not there. Really was a big part of their win over the Indy Red when some of the Columbia players were missing from the team. And Brown has physical presence, can attack the disc really well, and the continuation throws to set up other players successfully. So,
Gridlock with 12 and Surge with 8.
What a huge moment that call is going to turn out
That was
to
like
be.
a huge turn, yeah, a turning point in the game. DeSabado with the disc.
Matt Bova has been totally uninvolved in the play on the far side of the field, and it feels like that right now for the Philly offense because they don't have anywhere to go.
It's Maroon and DeSabado all the way, it seems.
Maroon able to break up the line, but then there's no continue for her despite the power position.
All the cutters are really far away right now, it seems.
Foul call from Finley, calling an offensive foul on Walsh in the lane. And that's the type of throw that Philly might need to open up the field a little bit, get all the way to that opposite sideline.
Yeah, spreading the offense the full width of the field. Bova with the disc to DeSabado.
Nice job on these marks to make sure that these continue options are a little less favorable even when the receivers are getting open.
Kiernet gets it to Maroon.
Linda Morse has made like her fourth or fifth deep cut of this possession. And Manu does not look like she wants to follow her, but the throwers just can't get it to her.
A big throw from Bova. And it's caught in the end zone by her teammate, Linda Morse.
Morse wanted the away throw. I mean, you can't look at it any other way after seeing her take off towards the end zone so many times. And all it took was to hit that bow with the disc on the break side for that throw to go up. That bow on the break side is the recipe for success for Philly, at least when they're on offense.
I wouldn't have predicted that the deep shots would be going to the break side during this game, but it's working well, especially on this end zone for Surge.
And I'll give my flowers to Danielle Walsh as well. She's probably a player who I've seen record as many hockey assists as anybody else. That secondary assist before the actual throw to the end zone, and uses those lefty throws to get to the break side. And while Bova's doing a great job creating space, it's all for naught if the thrower can't hit you. And Walsh has been up to the task.
Surge answering back by holding that point. Let's see if their D-line can convert this as a break. Number 15, Lane Dodge with the disc, setting up for the pull.
I'm not sure we've seen any crossover in the lines from Surge, and only a little bit from New York, and what you typically expect, a lot of volley moving around. But Surge doesn't really mix things up that much. And I wonder if we'll see them make some changes in order to try and get these breaks punched in.
It looked like there was a little bit of a trip happening with Jolie Krebs. Maybe their feet getting caught up with the defender. Cartagena with the disc.
Nice job by Gridlock
Cardenas.
coming in.
Big flick huck. Jenny DeJesus catches it. A nice backhand around. Finds Nina Finley.
Hello, Jenny DeJesus.
I don't know what was that mark doing there.
Well, I think that was actually set up by DeJesus, who makes the really tough grab with a great read. And then, despite having a player streak upfield, doesn't give away that that's the look that she wants. Continues to look backwards towards the middle of the field, makes the mark stay in that direction, and then when Finley's free, just hits her in the space.
Great grab.
You see, DeJesus' body stays directed towards the middle of the field until she's ready to throw forward, and only then does she give away that, hey, I'm going to the end zone now.
Gridlock with 13. It's a little bit rainy out. There's some spittle out there you can see on the screen here. So the disc is going to be wet.
DeJesus leading the team in goals coming into this game with 13.
Out of bounds pull.
I think the first of the game, I want to say, Chewy.
I think the last one was also out of bounds.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong, though. Temperature is dropping here. It's getting a little colder. Big flick huck. Alfano brings it down.
I mean, that's great recognition and a great bold play from Maroon. I mean, the teenager just recognizes, hey, I've got a target streaking in space, and yeah, am I on the road with a hostile crowd in a big professional ultimate game? Sure. Does that scare me? Absolutely not. I'm putting up this big forehand, and we're getting off the field.
But her teammate, that inside flick right there, that was very, very nice, very well placed.
And we talked earlier about how Liz Hart has basically been in this facilitator role. I don't know if the defense is backing her and keeping her from getting open deep, but she's taking really short plays, and it just gets out of her hand within the first 2 seconds of her catching it.
And it got Maroon into a power position for that flick huck.
And that's how we want to see that Surge deep game connect if they're going to try and come back, is getting into power position, taking advantage of opportunities that they can create, rather than throwing from stagnation. So now, though, the Surge getting the defense out there, and this D-line has to strike soon. We are seeing the time tick down, approaching the last 6 minutes of the third quarter.
6.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Looks like a junkie D again from Surge.
You've ever seen this once or twice over the course of the game?
Really hoping to stop that down the field in-cut flow from Gridlock.
And yeah, maybe take away some of those sharp inside breaks that we've seen from New York.
And the down the lines. Cartagena with the disc. Finds Jolene Zhang.
Looks like Surge is transitioning into straight matchup defense now.
Oh, big block from Surge, and everybody's going the other way now.
J.C. Gorman able to get the D. Given back from Philly. And you can't waste those break chances in a game where you're trailing by 3.
Especially on a foot block. Cartagena with the disc. Around Blady backhand. And finds Jenny DeJesus.
Oh, that was just classic Nina right there. Catches the disc near the goal line, but it takes a second to point where a point and click where she wants everybody to go. And you know what? If I'm Nina Cartagena's teammate and she points to me go somewhere, I'm going there. And then with the high Blady backhand, I mean, these are just all signature Gina Cartagena moves, and able to set up a score for DeJesus.
Nina Finley for that assist. Here's that replay on that foot block. Have you been foot blocked recently, Keith?
I'm not going to divulge that information to you. I'm going to leave that.
It's a little risky.
Private,
it's a little risky.
Probably tells you more than I mean to say. But it is a very committal move. Once you go for the foot block, you really don't have any other options. So you better get it.
Because it takes an extra few seconds to recover from that. So if you don't get that block, you've got to recenter your center of mass.
But Gorman didn't have to do anything but take off the other way because she gets a boot on that disc. It sends it to possession to her side. But they were not able to convert, so they're still trailing. Now down by 4 to New York.
The Sabato with the disc. Nice backhand to the middle, but it's intercepted. Jenny DeJesus with the disc.
I think Valeria thought that was a nice backhand.
Ding with the disc, back to DeJesus. Ding hanging back for that reset. Gets it off right away to Cardenas. Nice around for that reset. And it continued to DeJesus.
This is where New York's basically just going to make space for Manu, Vale, and Jay DeJesus, and then everybody else is just keying off of what they do.
They could do this all day.
And they actually could, because when it gets to zeros, the point doesn't end.
Ding to Pressburg for the score. And Gridlock are at 15. A 5-point lead over Surge. They're pulling away. And they're showing their strengths here.
Just a high release gone awry. Really no reason to float that throw from DeSabato. And Vale there to make her pay for it. And wow, what a stunning, just sitting back and looking at what we thought coming into this game. I mean, on paper, the Surge has been the stronger team in the beginning of this year. And right now, they are on their heels against a New York team that is just continues to push them back towards that precipice.
Yeah, I haven't really felt like Surge has ramped up their defense in this game yet. I feel like they have more in the tank. They could do more.
Well, when I talked to their coaching staff before the game, they talked about, hey, we know we have to execute in the second half. That's one of our big tasks in this game. Well, now they're in the spot where they have no choice because they're going to need a big second half. In fact, mostly just a big fourth quarter if they want to walk out of here with a 0 in the loss column.
4 minutes left in the third quarter here. Walsh with the disc. Gets it to Maroon. Maroon resets all the way to the middle of the field to DeSabato. Back to Maroon. Nice around to Walsh. Big backhand hook. Oh, and Surge runs it down. Number 23, Nat Bova, pulls it in.
Nat Bova going supernova in this game, just taking over. She streaks deep and shows, hey, it doesn't matter. I can get under if I need to, but if you're going to leave me the deep space, I'll eat that. It doesn't leave any scraps. Walsh winds up the big backhand.
That was a great hook. Nice and floaty. Fell at the right moment. Right within reach for Bova.
And kind of creating something out of nothing. That possession felt a little bit stagnant for Philly, and then able to strike. But again, it's got to be, what can this defense do? I mean, the offense can hold into oblivion, but you can't win the game that way.
Yeah, and defense, and also when the O-line turns it and has to play D, I think they need to pump it up a little bit more.
The other thing is that they no longer are putting as much pressure on the New York defense to play truly tremendous. They can kind of, I don't want to say coast, but you don't have to cross over a lot of players to get big D points anymore. You've got a nice lead, and maybe they can keep some of these legs fresh because they do run a bit of a tight rotation. Vale and Manu in particular play both ways. So if you want to gas out this team, you're going to have to put more pressure on them soon.
Yeah, when I think gassing out a team, I think playing straight person defense. But here we see Surge with their junkie D again, trying to slow them down, pushing Gridlock back towards their own end zone. But they're having a good time back there, the handlers. They're still able to work it. And they find a nice little down-the-line throw to Montana Roberts, who gets it back to Valeria Cardenas. Nina Finley with the disc. To the break side to De Jesus.
Sudi Onoe is doing an awesome job on the reset, and New York's not even able to look in that direction right now.
And on 4? Okay.
Montana Roberts to Nina Finley. Gridlock makes it 16. Still up by 5. Surge with 11. 2 minutes left in the third quarter.
Another score for Nina Finley, who probably gets overshadowed by the big names on this New York team, and kind of a function of her role. She's kind of the steady hand in the backfield, but veteran, played her time at Ohio State, but a product of the Seattle youth pipeline. And
you do need those consistent players who that they'll catch everything. They'll throw 100% throws. Role players.
Maybe she learned to catch. Apparently, as a child, she had pet barnacles. So maybe she learned a thing about really being sticky.
Being sticky fingers. Where do you even get pet barnacles from?
Apparently, Nina Finley. I don't know the answer to that, though.
Manu Cardenas with the pull.
I mean, again, you see, look, this is a pretty big line from New York. They send out Jay DeJesus, Jolie Krebs, Manu Cardenas, Martina Roberts. I mean, these are players who played a lot of offense. Vale's on the field.
And Pressburg. Pressburg is the defensive block leader for Gridlock right now with 5 blocks over 3 games.
So the rotation still is tight for Gridlock.
Ooh, a little bit of a bobble.
Well, that's the second time that we've seen the Surge get a turnover on zone offense, throwing to a receiver who was not prepared to be thrown to. As a thrower, you have to make eye contact really to know, hey, I can put this to you, unless you're a Cardenas sister. Then you can just do whatever you want.
Then you just put it to space, and they get there. Pressburg with the disc gets it back to Cardenas. Gridlock looking to work it through the handlers right now. The cutter is not really moving a lot. Short throws in the backfield. They look like they're doing a drill.
I mean, this is Revo ball a little bit with Manu and Valeria back there. They're moving the disc very quickly and basically just burning out this third quarter clock. So far, New York has ended every quarter with possession of the disc. They look like they plan to make that 3 for 3.
Yeah, being able to play keep disc, that's important strategy-wise for this team.
You said they looked like they were playing a drill. I guess they were.
I wasn't even looking at the clock. Timeout called. So if Gridlock can get this point, they'll end this quarter at 17-11, but currently still 16-11. Gridlock up.
I can't say, Chewy, that I like taking a timeout here. I mean, not only are you going to give the other team a chance to set up, but they can make changes, and also it's just harder to play offense from a stop disc. It's just harder to initiate play than it is to play from motion. I don't really know why you would want to stop play when you're holding the disc, burning clock, and on the attack with your best players. I mean, Vale and Manu around the disc. You're going to have somebody who's a competent thrower, probably with the disc in their hands. Pressburg is looking like they're feeling really fluid with that offensive motion, too. I'm not exactly sure the timeout strategy, but you know what? Coaches have them up 6-11 on a team that has been blistering hot up until this point, so they probably know a thing or two.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard to play offense off of a stop disc. Just to regain that momentum, reconnect with your teammates, and figure out what you want to do. It does take a little bit of momentum out. Here we see Gridlock set up with cutters pretty far back. Manu Cardenas with that bladey. Whoa, big block from Surge, number 8. Emma Soilis. Here's that block again.
Crossfield throw, and then Soilis taking to the air and lands on the heel and ankle of DeJesus.
Upper body also making some contact there. Could be somewhat of a dangerous play, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you get away from this one without a foul.
Yeah, players talking it out still.
Sorry. So, observer ruling, not a foul. Do you need an injury substitution? Okay. All right. Ground tap, and we'll start when you're ready. Yep.
Well, we saw a big turning point on a controversial call on the other end, and now this one going the Surge's way. Maybe this could be the turning point they need, because that is going to go down as a big block. Surprising outcome on the call for me.
Liang with the disc.
That said, I think what we talked about with the timeout played out, and then the giveaway from Surge, they fail to capitalize on the chance that they earned on the Soils Taylor block.
Liang looking for Mo Zafari, but a little bit of a miscommunication there.
And that timeout, they came out, and that was the best look they could get, was that crossfield throw. I don't know. I got to question that. But surprising outcome of the call and a surprising result on the scoreboard. 16-11, New York up 5 going into the fourth.
Welcome back to the PUL Surge versus Gridlock game. This live broadcast of Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab shops. Discraft. The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports.
And the end of that third quarter, a bit of a dramatic moment. Out of the timeout, New York goes cross field with the clock at zeros.
Oh, two bodies on the ground here. We see
Soilis takes off for the block, but a lot of contact with De Jesus, and ultimately by the observers ruled not a foul. What do you think, Julie?
I think that was, if not a foul, a little bit of a dangerous play because she laid out in the direction of De Jesus. Maybe the angle that the observer saw it in didn't look as bad. That observer looked like they were positioned on the far side, so maybe their angle was a little different. But I think it's questionable.
I'm with you. Not only am I calling that a foul, I mean, I'm maybe reaching for the card. That could have been, and not just because of the outcome. Obviously, De Jesus was okay, but you judge based on what could have happened, really. What were the potential scenarios in that situation? And Soilis went into the air a little bit recklessly, not dangerous intent, trying to make a big play, and ultimately did make a big play. And, it's going to go down on the stat sheet as a really big block and an important moment in this game.
We do have to give her that D. It was a great D, but it may be a little bit too much contact.
Surprising call. No home cooking here at Facina Field.
Photos for tonight's game are being taken by Jen Voce Nelson, the official photographer of the New York Gridlock. Founder of Avoce Behind the Lens, Jen is a Long Island-based sports photographer and ultimate Frisbee player. She has also worked with the AUDL's New York Empire, NBA G League's Long Island Nets, and the MLB's New York Mets. Check her out on social media and at avocebehindthelens.com.
Well, I hope Avoce got a shot of that big hand block. Maria Bellin, Restrepo swats away. Another one of those backhand hooks that Bova was looking for. And now the Gridlock put it into the end zone for another break. Are they already
oh my gosh, wow.
putting dirt on the grave?
Gridlock with 17, Surge with 11. Great play by Gridlock, making it exciting, getting the crowd back into it.
Yeah, I was surprised Bova was able to get off that backhand throw last time. I just don't know why. Why try and throw a backhand with a person standing right next to you on the backhand side?
Yeah, don't want to risk it too often.
And then Pressburg into the end zone, and a big score from Nikki Hare.
Let's see what Gridlock's D-line can do here.
Gridlock threatening to run away with this one. Again, nobody had scored more than 12 in an entire game on Philly coming into this. Gridlock obviously well past that at this point, and they have another 11 minutes to keep adding to their total. We would need a drastically different fourth quarter for the result to be anything other than an undefeated New York team.
Gridlock's looking confident right now. I feel like they're in their pocket right now.
It looks like a little bit of zop out there. If you know, you know.
Okay, Walsh picking up the disc. Gets it through the middle to number 19, Brace Maroon. Big flick huck. And Hiranet brings it down. Really nice flick huck from Surge. Perfect timing with Hiranet.
Oh, quick score is just what the doctor ordered.
Got to get their confidence back up.
Absolutely. I mean, not only do they need their confidence, but their time is of the essence now. The clock is not their friend. So getting your offense on and off the field quickly just lets you get your defense out there, and it keeps your offensive players fresh if they ever decide to cross anybody over.
They do not want to be playing keep disc right now.
And the deep game was a key component of what both coaching staffs talked about before this game, and it has favored New York through the first three quarters. Not in no small part due to the power throwing of Valeria Cardenas.
Getting those flick hooks off really easily.
But the Surge has found some deep looks of their own. They've been a little more mixed, but they have found some quality opportunities to get deep.
When it's a good put, the receivers have been pulling it down really well. Here's from Walsh, the one we just saw. Number 22, Liz Hart to Hiranet. Valeria Cardenas with the disc, gets it around to Cartagena. Cartagena gets it to Finley. Looking inside, nobody's there. Krebs with the disc. Gets it to the middle to Cardenas, gets it to Cartagena. Gridlock really using the full width of the field here. Big fake from De Jesus. And there's a call on the field. Cartagena with the disc. Looks up line to Krebs. Krebs pulls it down. And Gridlock are now at 18.
New York with the big lead right now and working on becoming the only undefeated team in the North Division. Down in the South Division, DC maintaining their undefeated streak as they knocked off Portland Rising earlier tonight. Still in the North, we've got Milwaukee and Indy. They're in the third quarter. Indy's up 10-9 in that game. Austin and Atlanta also playing in the South, although they're in a lightning delay. That one tied at 6-6.
Yeah, the Gridlock have been using the break side so much that Jenny De Jesus got that awesome fake off and really faked out her marker. Jolie Krebs with the score here.
And the Surge defense just has had nothing for New York. I mean, they have come away empty-handed a lot of times in this game.
And the pull lands around midfield. The Sabado picking up to Walsh, who gets it to the middle.
And Liz Hart again coming underneath. That time not able to get the disc moving as quickly as we've seen in other examples, but they just are not been able to get her free deep at all in this game.
DeSabito with the disc. Working it with Maroon. Alfano gets it to Shields. Shields hucks it. A big bid. Oh, just out of reach.
Excellent cut by Maroon, and then a gigantic missed bid. I wanted her to catch that just so we could have had the Sports Center highlight, because that was massive.
I want to see multiple angles on that one.
All that said, it was still a turnover, and New York has a chance to push this lead out to 7.
Brown with the disc.
I think I would call that insurmountable at that point.
Pressburg gets it to Manuela Cardenas. Somebody in the crowd just said, "Jam it up the jam hole."
And then it was obliged.
They tried.
Nice little stutter step from Pressburg to get them open up the line, but the throw itself just too high. Stopping here for Liz Hart, taking an injury sub, and Nat Bova checking in her stead.
Walsh with a disc. Pressburg marking.
Bova makes about 6 changes of direction, and Manu shadowing her through each one of them.
Alfano looking for a reset. Tries to get it to Walsh. A little bit of traffic there.
Great pressure from Pressburg, but Walsh calling a foul, and that's what I expected. It definitely looked to me like they went through the back of Walsh.
Looks like they're going to get the observer involved here.
I only processed some things on screen. I felt like it went through as I was going to catch, so if the only way you can get
Chewy, I don't think, have we seen an uncontested call in this game? I don't think so.
I don't think so, yeah.
Players, we
So
generally
if you're
keep
new
about
to
20
watching
seconds
Ultimate,
for
players
discussion.
can contest or uncontest
Okay, contesting.
a call,
This goes back.
and that means
What was our stall
whether
at?
they think it happened or not. If they think it happened, they'll say uncontest, and if they don't think it happened, they'll say contest. And that'll determine what will happen with the disc. So the disc is going back to the thrower, so it was contested.
Now, all that said, despite the series of contests we've seen throughout this game, I don't think it's ever been chippy, which is nice. It doesn't feel like players are being aggressive or unspirited with one another, just disagreeing with how they see the game. And that's okay.
Yeah, you like to see them talk it out, resolve it. Walsh, big backhand hook to space, but her teammate can't quite get there yet.
And there it is. I just saw it. The uncontested shrug from Pressburg. Maybe they heard us from up here.
Foul on the throw. So the disc is going to go back to Walsh. The throw was intended for Alfano, but now let's see what happens with Walsh with the disc. Shields back to Walsh. Finds Bova.
Great continue cut from Walsh to get up the line.
And hearing it to Shields. Surge is hanging in there. They're not down in the dumps, which I think that is a really tough point in the game. Your mental game is so important in Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, if they give up that score, this game is over. They still have a thin hope, but they do have a hope after that conversion. And Walsh powering that. Nice job getting up the line here. Gets separation on the continue. And then just some defensive confusion, I think, on the part of the Gridlock defenders. Sets up a Emily Shields wide open. Shields down, as it were.
6 minutes and 18 seconds left in this game. Fourth quarter, wow.
Well, if there was a question about the quality of New York's win last year, or New York's loss, rather, over to Philly last year, there's not going to be any questions after this if this game continues at this rate. It's going to be a clear, emphatic victory for New York. And even if there was a committee, they would not have to deliberate very long about whose performance was more impressive today.
And I think that says a lot about this Gridlock team, who's seen a lot of new players join this year. A lot of people are looking to see what they can do this year, even without a lot of the veterans that have left the team. Finley with the disc. Trying to get it off the line here. Cartagena with the disc. Finds Krebs all the way around for that swing. De Jesus with the disc.
Krebs with lots of room. But De Jesus can't find her, but uses the fake instead to get some space to operate around the disc.
Valeria Cardenas with the disc and Sarah Liang on the mark. Finley looking for that around. No one's quite there yet. Inside to Cartagena. Cartagena wants to go around as well. Nice save from Valeria Cardenas.
And a cramp now from Valeria. And, we talked about how much these core players have played in this game, how demanding it's been for New York. And you're starting to see some of the wear and tear build up on these bodies through the course of the game. And if Philly could have been tight on this game, they might have been able to take advantage of that. And a number of the players who are new to this team are some of these additions. So you look at Jolie Krebs, Valeria Cardenas, Manuela Cardenas. Those are core players who've been on a ton in this game. And they're a bunch of the additions, the new faces that we see on a roster that's almost entirely new. I mean, the additions here doesn't go into the depth of the roster, but so much of this team is brand new.
Yeah, and you can see that they're already core to the team, even though they're on their first season.
And look at the quality of the losses. Angela Zhu, like Tulsa Douglas, these are not no-name players that left this Gridlock team, but they have picked up a lot of talent. It was really just a question of could they make it all coalesce in a short time period. And so you don't like to see a player going off injured.
Cardenas saving that throw, but maybe taking herself out for the rest of this game with that cramp, having to get low for that catch.
And on one, defensive check to start. Skip.
Well, you swap out one world-class player, you just sub in another. It must be nice.
One Cardenas for another. Cartagena with the disc, looking for it. Nice. Finds Finley in the end zone.
Finley getting her goal scorer on, but the Colombians just continue to drive the offense for New York with great aplomb. And, I mean, you may be talking about the best players on the best team in the world. We just recently had a tournament in Colombia, TEP, and there are some of the national teams that will be playing at the World Ultimate Club Championships in Australia. We're competing, and the favorites the U.S. women's team lost to the Colombian women's team with Manu Cardenas, Valeria Cardenas, and Yina Cartena. They won on Universe Point. Dramatic game. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Fantastic Universe Point to watch. But maybe establishing that the Colombians should be the most feared team in the world. You can't get any higher level than that.
I think they run the hardest out of anybody I've ever watched.
They're not just running hard now, they're running hot too. And that success is carrying over to this PUL team.
If you want to find that game, it's the Torneo Eterna Primavera, and it's an annual tournament in Medellin.
So at this point, I think it's every point is do or die for Philly. And
Bova and Walsh are back with the Sabado.
Not exactly a sense of urgency from the handlers that we're seeing. Maybe they're waving the white flag.
Gridlock's playing a little bit of a loose, junky looking D here as well.
Yeah, but at this point, you have a choice between warping your system for the situation, as in, hey, let's go into full comeback mode, be really aggressive, or trying to work on your systems for later in the year and kind of saying, hey, this game's probably over, so let's just try and get better while we're here.
Stay disciplined, follow what we know. They are finding good looks on the sides of the fields.
Yeah, ideally you don't have to choose between the two, but I think they're kind of pressed into that by the game situation now. I do think there's something to be said for also working on playing in comeback mode. Championship weekend's in Philly this year. They may make it all the way there, and that's the game where they have to make a comeback. There's no reason to be working on your systems at that point. You just need to be dialing it in to try and win the game. So, there's pros and cons to both approaches. Either way, Philly able to march off the field with a score. Sabado able to break things open with this blade to Shields.
Three minutes and 40 seconds left in this fourth quarter. Match Fit Performance is happy to be providing another season of sports performance and rehabilitation services to New York Gridlock. From the sidelines to the gym and back onto the field, owners Rena and Irwin are dedicated to helping athletes come back from injury and continue to excel in their sports. They offer individualized training plans, private and small group training, and team strength and conditioning sessions. Check them out on Instagram at Match Fit Performance.
All right, I'm not Jolie Krebs, and that's a shame. I wish I was, but if I were her, I would probably be like, Coach, I think I might sit for this game. I got nationals next week. Let me chill.
Don't want to get injured.
We're up 5. There's 3.5 minutes left, but she's out there. She's a gamer.
Most Ultimate players, you cannot sit them out.
Especially the ones under 25. Taking them off the field, sometimes you got to put a chain around them and pull them off the field. You got to get out the hook to pull them off stage,
I coach a high school team, and I have to tell them, you've got to be honest with me. Tell me when you need a break. Because they will not.
New York has given no breaks to this surge defense. I mean, their offense has been cooking for almost this entire game, with the exception of a brief lull.
Nice bladey flick. Finds Finley in the end zone again. And it's great to see that so many players on Gridlock can play multiple roles in the field. So they can be back, they can hang back as a handler. They can also cut.
Yeah, hello, superstar cutter Nina Finley. Who knew that you could just go out and score oodles of goals whenever you felt so inclined. There, just takes off again, slides into the catch, and then gives a thumbs up. That's positivity. That's being a great teammate. Hey, I just got a sweet goal, but thumbs up to you. You did me proud over there.
2 minutes and 38 seconds left. Gridlock with 20 and Surge with 14.
All right, so Chewy, we're seeing the most impressive, probably, individual victory of the season on paper by any team in the league. Do you think New York should be the favorite over a DC team that has also been ripping hot this season?
I don't know. That'll be a really fascinating matchup to watch. I don't know the DC team quite as well as I know the Gridlock, but I know that would be a really, really fantastic game.
It's not on the schedule, so we'll have to see if that if we're gonna get that in
playoffs,
championship weekend.
Yeah. Shields with the disc. Gets it to Hirnet. Gets it to Walsh. Alfano on the disc. DeSabato with the disc. Looks around. Gets it to Maroon, who looks around for that score. Bova with the score. Oh, looks like there's a call on the field.
I mean, Julia, I watched Grace Maroon play at YCC's last year. I watched her play in the club season with AMP. She was not this player. She has grown so much in an 8-month span. I know, it's going to be in a losing effort for Philly, but she's played a really impressive game.
And it's probably down to playing that club season last year. She's probably learned so much from just playing with veteran players. They can tell her, they can knowledge dump onto her, but also she can tap into different skills that she wouldn't have been able to try out with her high school teams.
And that mental and physical maturity. Going 19, there's still a lot more room for growth, obviously, but just becoming a bigger, stronger athlete and a smarter one as well. But a player with a really impressive future ahead of him.
We'll definitely have to keep watch on her.
I'm not sure we're going to be able to have any other choice. I think she's going to make us pay attention.
Look at that scoober. Oh, my gosh. I was not throwing scoobers at that age. Awesome job.
I was. They were just all turnovers, I'm pretty sure.
So, Serge keeping it within a handful of points here, wanting to keep it within touch. Let's see if they can convert this defensive point into a break point.
Yeah, you can take a little pride if you can shorten the score. I mean, this is basically a practice scenario, right? Hey, let's basically pretend we're down 2 and see if we can come back in this game. If we can get this lead down to 3 before the game's over, we can feel proud that we played well in the clutch. So a chance to kind of work on some of those things. If you want to see more Grace Maroon, you got to check out Ulti World's College Championships coverage coming up next weekend. I know I'll be watching, for sure.
Always an exciting weekend. De Jesus saves that high throw.
Little double catch for 0-0.
Cartagena with the disc. Looks around to Jolene Zhang. Zhang gets it to Montana Roberts. Trails away from Finley. No three-peat for Finley right now.
Another nice deep cut, though. I mean, that was a score-worthy cut.
It was to space. It looked good.
Just a little too much OI angle, so it tailed away from her. So I think a timeout from Philly on the field, wanting to make the best use of this possession as possible. Don't want to waste any practice reps. We said this season's short. You get very few chances to play together.
Yeah.
So
what do you think of this timeout call versus the last one?
Well, this one's a very different context because this one's not really about winning this game. It's more about just, hey, what are we going to work on? So you can't take them with you. They're not going on the road with you to your next game. So might as well use it. Take a chance to build up whatever set you want to work on, whatever thing you want to practice. Great coaching timeout, in my opinion. A+ work. But you hate to be in a situation where you can take timeouts that really don't matter because you already lost the game.
Yeah, and with 40 seconds left, Serge has an opportunity now to close with only a 4-point deficit, but let's see what they do with the disc here.
Yeah, recall that they did manage to take the disc away from New York at the end of the third quarter, so they did have one of those untimed possessions. And while that it doesn't exist in the fourth quarter, they would probably like to convert at the end of the quarter for once this game.
So they do have to score before time runs out on the fourth quarter, but there's a turnover. Who's that?
Interception from
Casey Bantarayan, I believe.
And I think here they're going to run the clock out.
And it's game. Gridlock ends the game with 20 versus 15 on Surge's side. Great job by Gridlock. Confident playing from the start. Really held on to all of the points that they scored were on good offensive flows.
Yeah, they defended this house here at Facina Field, and New York do work, as they like to say. And they certainly did work. I mean, they came out with a very, very crisp offensive attack, and then on defense made the plays they needed to, but really also just relentless. So this Philly team really could never get their feet underneath them. They had a chance. They had a brief window that they opened up with that run to start the second quarter, but it was otherwise all Gridlock in a very impressive performance that really could. I mean, I think you could now make a case for this New York team to be the title favorite. I think I'd still lean DC's way until we see them prove otherwise, but this was a very impressive and convincing performance from Gridlock.
Here's some highlights from the game. Strong showing from both teams. Great D in offense from both sides. Really committing to getting the disc on the offense. Nice big hug from Serge here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this Philly team obviously is still quite good, and it's more credit to New York for making it look on the scoreboard like they aren't. I mean, I still think this team's a big favorite to reach championship weekend where they can play in front of their home crowd. We may see these teams match up with a lot more on the line next time.
Yeah, next time we'll see. Here's that last look.
So a statement win from New York here in New Rochelle. The Gridlock take it 20-15, hand the Surge their first loss. New York undefeated and on top of the North Division.
See you next time.